Hey, good evening YouTube. Today I saw a video, and I'm not just going to blame this video. I've seen many forum postings and many other videos like this where people are bashing today's video games and think that the video games of yesteryear are much better and think of them as some kind of nirvana or Shangri-La of video games. And pardon me, first off, I haven't rehearsed this, so if I ramble, forgive me, but we are living in a golden age of video games. First off, the video game industry is selling more units than any point in history. Grand Theft Auto 5 is the world record selling video game with, I believe, well over 1 billion units. I don't know the exact statistic, but first off, those kind of numbers create jobs, and with the video game industry being as big as it is, countless jobs are implemented. So you're keeping people off the streets, you're keeping people employed, and that's good for the economy. So without video games where it is today, can you imagine how much shittier the economy would be than it already is? Secondly, I've heard that the 360 and the PlayStation 3 break down all the time, especially the Xbox 360. Well, this is true when they first come out, because the technology hasn't been perfected, and they're being so pioneering, and they're trying to push the limits of the technology they can use, that it's going to break down the first ones. But usually a couple of years after the system's been out, they make the new and improved that have longer shelf lives. I have a 360 right now that I've had for about 1.5 years, maybe 2 years now, and it's running fine. I mean, there's a little bit of trouble with reading discs, but as long as I install them beforehand, it works, so there's no problem there. The video games back then, I had an N64, and I specifically remember going through a good number. They might have had longer shelf lives, but they didn't have as much technology in them. They weren't pushing the boundaries as much. And let's just face it, in today's games there's so much more you can do. The storylines are tremendous. Okay, you have games like Fallout, Oblivion, the Tales of series like Tales of Symphonia. Tremendous storylines. Even the war games, which people mainly just play multiplayer, I'm not a big fan of, but if you play the single players, the storylines are pretty enthralling. Back then, you would have Mario running around just trying to jump on Goombas and jumping on turtles, and it made no sense, but it was fun. I'm not denying that. Games of the past were very fun, but personally, I don't think they can compete with today's games for the reasons I've listed. First off, it helps the economy. Second off, the storytelling is better than it's ever been. Even people who aren't interested in video games can appreciate Grand Theft Auto 5 storyline or the world of Oblivion and Fallout. Just truly the technology that these people are creating, I have nothing but respect for, and I feel like it's perfect. I feel like we're living in a golden age of video games, as I said before. Sports video games, personally, I think they're much better now because they're much more realistic, but I'm not going to put down the ones of yesteryear. NHL 97, one of the most fun sports games ever. I just feel it's personal preference. I'm not putting down the old games at all, don't get me wrong, but I just feel like today's are more dynamic, deeper stories, deeper gameplay. I just had to get that off my chest. I hope you enjoyed. Subscribe to my channel, YouTube, and have a good night.